They thought they were alone in the woods, but something was watching, something that wasn't supposed to exist. The rain had been falling for hours, turning the narrow forest trail into a slick, muddy ribbon. Mark and his friend Ryan trudged on, their flashlights cutting pale cones of light through the night. The air was heavy to heavy, the usual hum of crickets was gone. Even the wind seemed to be holding its breath. Mark stopped mid-stride. "You hear that?" At first, Ryan shook his head. Then he heard it, to a deep, rhythmic thud, heavy, distant, but closing. They stood frozen, straining their ears. Another thud, and another, like something massive stepping through the soaked earth. The beam from Mark's flashlight wavered as his hand trembled. "Probably just a deer," Ryan whispered, though his voice cracked with doubt. Then came a low, guttural sound, half growl, half breath that rumbled through the trees. It was so deep they felt it in their chests. The two friends pressed forward, faster now, following the barely visible path, but no matter how quickly they walked, the sound followed, the thudding steps matching their pace, always staying just out of sight. Mark glanced behind him. For a split second he thought he saw something between the trees taller than any man, broad-shouldered, covered in dark matted hair. Then it was gone. The rain intensified, smothering their footsteps, but not the other sound. It was closer now, much closer. Ryan's light caught something, an old, rotting tree stump, but beside it was an enormous footprint sunk deep in the mud, far too large for any human. The toes were splayed wide, the depth of the print suggesting weight beyond imagination. "Mark," Ryan's voice was barely audible. That's not possible." Before Mark could reply, a sudden crack of wood snapped, the arrow branch, thick as an arm, breaking somewhere in the darkness. Both flashlights darted toward the sound, beams shaking. That's when the smell hit them, pungent, rotting, like wet fur mixed with decay. It wrapped around them, thick and suffocating. They started to run, not caring about the mud, the rain, or the low branches whipping their faces. The forest blurred into a chaotic mess of shadows and light. Behind them, the footsteps thundered louder, faster, closing the distance. Mark risked another glance back, and this time he saw it. Two eyes, glowing faintly amber, locked on his. The head was low, the body massive, its outline barely visible through sheets of rain. It moved with a terrifying mix of speed and silence, its long arms swaying like a predator preparing to pounce. Ryan tripped, crashing into the mud with a panicked yell. Mark skidded to a stop, holding him up. In that brief second, the thing stepped forward into the beam of Mark's flashlight, just enough to reveal the dripping hair, the broad chest, and a mouth lined with teeth that were far too sharp. A sound erupted from its throat, a roar so primal it made the trees seem to shake. Mark and Ryan didn't look back again. They ran until the forest gave way to the dim glow of their campsite, collapsing beside the fire they'd left burning low. The footsteps had stopped, but the smell lingered. Neither of them spoke about what they saw, not to each other, not to anyone. But sometimes, in the dead of night, Mark swears he can still hear those heavy, deliberate steps, circling just beyond the edge of the light.